Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Today I'm doing something I've been thinking about doing for a little while now. It's a video out there in the Quince system. Now I'm sure many of you have probably heard about this. It's a pretty busy system, a whole den of activity out there. What's Quince all about? Well, it's a way of making money rather quickly. Some people consider this an exploit, and that is one of the reasons I've held off on making this video. And of course, another reason is because when I do make videos like this one, I usually get quite a bit of flack thrown at me for one, covering exploits, and two, exposing exploits so that Frontier will then patch them. Now, ultimately, that's going to happen one way or another. And whether or not you see this as an exploit will depend on how you use it. So, what is it all about? Well, the first thing you want to do is come to here, Jeffrey's High in the Quince system, and you want a ship outfitted with passenger cabins. What type of ship you have is entirely up to you. Any ship will do, any ship that can hold passenger cabins, that is. For me, I've gone with a beluga here because I can afford one, and I've outfitted it with some of the largest cabins I can actually afford. Now, I've done a few runs of this, nothing too much, but I have made perhaps 30 to 40 million by doing this, and I don't really want to spend too much more time in doing that. Now, once you've got high reputation here, you'll be able to get the higher paying missions, and you can see these guys here are offering anything up to 1 million credits just for a single run. But some of them I don't want to take, not in the beluga, because they are known criminals, and because I'm a little bit slow when it comes to the beluga, I can't get it through the docking hatch that fast, I always run the risk of getting scanned. So I take pilots, or take passengers rather, that are entirely legal. So what is the purpose here? What's so good about Quince? Well, this rich tourist wants to go to Galen's Ascension, and Galen's Ascension is very, very close by to Jeffrey's High. Some people actually consider that an exploit. They think it's an unintended consequence of the way the mission system works. For me, I'll take any missions that are actually functional. Now, the truth is, these missions are stackable, just like the massacre missions of not too long ago. Some people will do board switching to get this, switching between the various game modes, but for me, I'll just take whatever missions are on offer. And on this particular run, I didn't go with a full ship. I just took whatever missions were on offer, and out I go. That said, sometimes there are enough missions there, passenger missions, to fill up your ship without any problem at all. So here, the ship is about half full, so that's really not too bad. Now, I haven't used the beluga too much since it was introduced. It is a ship I do want to get modified with the engineers, particularly on the thrusters. I have had the FSD engineered, and it's got a fairly good jump range, but for these missions, you don't need to use the FSD at all. You can simply use Super Cruise and travel locally. And there you can see it. Galen's Ascension is right around the same world that Jeffrey's High is orbiting. Takes usually only a matter of seconds to actually get there. On this occasion, the beacon is on the opposite side of the planet, so you need to travel around the gravity well there. But more often than not, you'll find the beacon on the same side as the station itself, making travel between the two destinations very quick indeed. Now, early on, I might have sounded a little bit dismissive about having made 30 to 40 million. After all, that is a significant amount of money, but it really doesn't take too long to do it in a ship like a beluga, where you've got so many passenger cabins, meaning you can take on so many missions. But that's not really the crux of the issue. The crux of the issue for many people, aside from the fact that it's very easy to make a lot of money and some people feel that's unreasonable, the real big issue is the rate at which this can affect the background simulation. Being able to take on so many missions and do them so fast really does have an impact on the local factions here, and can cause some pretty rapid swings on the current system state. So it certainly does have a bit of an impact on the wider game and will affect other players, especially if there's players out here that have local factions out here or local player groups. And that's where some of the arguments come in as to whether or not this should actually be possible. Now, Frontier themselves are well aware of what's going on within Quince, and this is actually a long-standing situation. It's something that has been here for numerous patches now, so Frontier have had the chance perhaps to remove it from the game, but for now, for whatever reason, it does remain in place. So here you can see how much money I've actually made. I did have to keep an eye on the cargo here, because some of the missions do give cargo, and I've only got 4 slots, so I actually have to settle that before I can hand in the next mission. But anyway, I made somewhere between 3 to 4 million for that single run, and yes, it was very quick indeed. The passenger missions, however, are not the only thing going on within Quince. There's another way to make a significant amount of money very quickly, and for this you can use any ship that can carry an SRV, and that of course means any ship at all. So sticking to the same station for the moment and heading straight to the mission board, what we're looking for is the planetary scan missions, and there should be some right here. Yep, here we are, Civil War Surface Scan Installation Scan mission. Now this is the first time I've done these missions in Quince, but I did want to see what it was all about, and they do have some significant payouts, and that is no doubt because I'm allied with these factions after doing numerous passenger missions for them. As with the passenger missions, these missions can also be stacked, and just as with the passenger missions, these are all for the same destination as well. Now, how many of these missions you actually want to take on will clearly depend on just how far you want to exploit things. For me, I just took the 3 missions that were there and headed off into space, did a discovery scan, at which point it tells me the specific location I need to head to. But you can stack more missions by mission board swapping between the various game modes. It's not something I'm going to recommend to do here, but it is something that is possible, and is something that in the past Frontier have said they don't consider an exploit, despite the fact that they're not too happy about the situation. Now for me, the question is, how many other systems out there are like Quince? Is Quince a lone, unique example? Somehow, I doubt it. There are tens of thousands of inhabited systems, and there are likely hundreds of thousands of stations within the game. So it would seem extremely unlikely that Quince is the sole example of this sort of situations with missions, but it probably is the only widely known public example. But let's be honest, this isn't the only time missions like this have happened. Everything from Robigo to Sothis to Draconis 47 to here in Quince. It's happened many times and will no doubt continue to happen, and it's quite clearly a symptom of how the mission system works. Whether or not players consider this an exploit will depend on how they actually approach it. It will depend on how many missions they actually stack. It will depend on how much money they feel is acceptable to make within an hour period or whatever other time period they're counting. But beyond that, of course, like I said, it does have a huge impact on the local faction states as well. And that, perhaps more than any other thing, is something that does bear considering. It does have an impact on other players after all. So there you saw the process was very easy. I simply went down to the planet installation, which I had to scan, got out in the SRV and scanned the beacon there in the installation, and that completed all 3 missions for me. I then brought them back to Jeffrey's High here, and I'm then handing them in, again giving me quite a good amount of money, all for just those 3 simple missions. So whatever you think about Quince, do let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.